Strap in for the world's fastest half hour. You're on the Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Herbert and Marty Huff.
This is the Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for stopping by our half-hour of horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. Another Torrence dad, Billy, captures his first pro Wally at Brainerd. We'll talk to the elder Torrence today, as well as funny car winner, fast Jack Beckman. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of the Straight Line. Hi, welcome in. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Straight Line on Drag Racing at MRN.com. Along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert, I am Marty Huff. Big thanks to Blake Alexander for filling in for you last week up in the beautiful green hills of Vermont. In proof,
I brought you home some Vermont syrup. Yeah.
Maple syrup. And I can't wait to throw some of that on some waffles this weekend. But good to have you back in the seat, and thanks for being here.
Good to be back. Really interesting weekend up there at Brainerd. We got some stuff to talk about this show, that's for sure.
Yeah, no question about that. And as advertised, coming up, Jack Beckman, who is at the Indy test. So we'll get a little taste of what testing is like at Indy. We'll talk about Brainerd, and we'll also talk a little testing with fast Jack Beckman, and we'll also talk to Dad Steve Torrance's dad, Billy Torrence, who won the Top Fuel category. Let's take a look at what is happening in the points coming out of Brainerd, because this is going to be the big story heading into Indy and who makes the countdown to the championship. And we'll start with Top Fuel, where it gets really interesting. There's three drivers vying for two spots. Scott Palmer, as you see there, is just 9 points ahead of Richie Crampton, who's in 11th. Doug, the big story coming out of Brainerd, I believe, is Crampton went from 9th to 11th. Now he's got to get himself back in, but 9 points at points and a half, anything can happen.
I mean, that's less than one round. So remember, going to Indy, it's 30 points per round. Points are doubled at Indy, so they're going to have a heck of a time. Richie Crampton in a Coletta car. Obviously, they're not held back by anything over there with Connie. So, Salinas, he's been running really good. Scott Palmer's been running good. So they're going to have a three-way dogfight for that final spot in the top 10.
Yep, and a new sponsor coming out for Richie Crampton. Craftsman is going to be on the car for Indy and for the rest of the season. So not an enviable position to try to get yourself back into the playoffs with a new sponsor. Let's take a look at Funny Car. And this is really going to be interesting. 5 drivers within 98 points of each other, from 9th down to Johnny Lindbergh in the 13th spot. I think Sean Langdon is okay, but anywhere from Wilkerson, Tasca, Cruz Pendragon, Johnny Lindbergh, any of those drivers could well make their way in. But right now, I think
it's going to be tough for Lindbergh. He's almost 100 points back, but Tasca and Wilkerson definitely have a dogfight on their hand. Yeah. And then Cruz, you never know. I mean, he's got Tommy DeLago over there. They can, they could step up and do something big, but it's almost to the point where they've got to go have a really good race, and the other guys have to
get a little help.
Yeah, the other guys have to do poorly. So I talked to Bob Tasca the other day, and he's pretty excited. They didn't have the Western swing that they were looking for, but he feels like they're getting things under control. So good luck to all those guys, and that's going to be a tough deal to get in the top 10.
Yeah, and real quick, Bob Tasca, you got to talk to him because he showed up at the brakes class.
That's right. Yeah, he brought his son to brakes actually a couple weekends ago, so that was great to see him and spend a little bit of time with him at a brakes class.
Yeah, we will talk pro stock, both cars and bikes, a little bit later on in the program. You'll not want to miss what's happening in bikes, because it is a literal dogfight. 2 positions open, 8 drivers could be in during Indy. So we'll get to that a little bit later on. But when we come back, we want to talk to the Top Fuel winner at Brainerd, Billy Torrence. We will talk to him next.
Things happen fast in racing. And if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at premier National Series events. And the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. Race fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up a bottle of Seafoam Motor Treatment on sale for $7.99. Plus, earn double O Rewards points. Help your engine run smoother and last longer with Seafoam Motor Treatment on sale now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In order to maximize a vehicle's performance and efficiency, the proper adjustments need to be made based on the road ahead. That's true for both race car drivers on the track and for truck drivers hauling freight on the highway. But if your truck's equipped with the Detroit DT12 automated manual transmission with intelligent powertrain management, adjustments are made automatically based on GPS terrain mapping, maximizing performance and efficiency. Don't just want better business solutions, demand them. Learn more at demanddetroit.com.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you being here on MRN.com. It is The Straight Line this week. We're on the Racing Electronics Hotline as the driver of the number 2 car for Capco Contractors, who wound up number 1 this weekend at Brainerd. Billy Torrence joins us. Billy, congratulations on a huge win at Brainerd. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Billy, what a great, what a great time. You only bring that car out once in a while. Number 1 qualifier. You win the race, set top speed of the meet. What a weekend.
Wow, it was. It was just very gratifying, and just we just had a wonderful time. Everybody was well prepared when we got there. We hadn't been in the car for 4 months, but we just came out of there and with guns blazing and did well.
Well, you guys have managed to put together an incredible team. Richard Hogan, of course, been with you a long time. Bobby Lagana, Dom Lagana. You guys just really have a team that has gelled, man, the last couple years. With Steve almost winning the championship last year and being in a really good position this year. What's that been like to really put that team together from scratch and get it to the point where you are right now?
You know, we're just really proud of that. I think we're really the only family race team at that level, and it's just we're grateful for the success out there. It's we have, you know, you get the best parts and pieces, and you give them to the best people you can. You wind them up and let them go, and it's been a recipe for success.
You know, on social media, I believe it was the Orange Block that said he was really glad to see a couple old Super Comp racers winning in the nitro categories. Of course, Jack Beckman and you run many laps in Super Comp cars. Cut an 037 light in the final. I mean, that's a Super Comp type of light, and had to have all of it because you beat Antron by 0.003 of a second. So you were up there ready to go.
Absolutely. You know, I came out earlier in the year and gotten acclimated, you know, in the car, and I made my mind up that I needed to be better. Steve brought his practice cockpit and tree over to the house. I've been practicing on that thing, and you know, hopefully I can get out there and do just what I did and keep those other points earners off of it.
Yeah. Billy, what's your schedule looking like for the rest of the year? You get pumped up for that run. Now, of course, you got Indy coming up, and how many times are we going to see you out racing before the end of the year?
They've got me scheduled to race Dallas, Vegas, Pomona, St. Louis, and the only 2 countdown races that they weren't going to put me in was Reading and Charlotte, but I'm ready. But, you know, I have a part-time team. Only 3 of those guys work for us full-time at the shop as a support team for Steve's team while they're on the road. So, you know, those are they're really, really good guys, but they have full-time jobs, and maybe they can all get off. We may show up at those races.
Well, now that you've won and Steve is going to go in as the number 1 seed, have you kind of maybe double thought going to Reading and going to Charlotte, and they know that is a good points-earning team. That maybe that's a good way to keep, like you said, some of those points earners off his back.
Well, we'll just have to see. It's Mama Kay's race team, so we'll just we'll see what she said.
Yeah. Now, you took a ride through the zoo at Brainerd. We saw a little bit of that on social media. How was that, riding on the tow vehicle with a Wally in your hand and hooting and hollering?
Well, I tell you what, all those fans. There's a lot of folks up there rooting for those Capco guys.
Yeah.
And that was just getting out there and putting back a little where we could. And you can't believe. I mean, we had a couple of beers with those folks and did a lot of hooping and hollering. It's something.
That is awesome. I guarantee everybody out there in the zoo pit loves seeing you guys come out into the pits and mingle a little bit. They don't get that every day, and for the top fuel winner to go down there in the pits and mingle with them, that is awesome.
Well, that's that family aspect of that deal. We don't have anybody to report to, and we just get out there, and wasn't so long ago we were fans.
Yeah, and I was asked to ask you. I believe you had maybe a little motor carnage this weekend. How many motors did you guys go through?
Oh, my. You just had to ask.
Oh, yeah.
So we go up first round. We put a hole out, blow that motor up, won the round. Came back second round, stuck a new bullet in there, warmed it up, had a crankshaft gear issue. Didn't blow it up, but had to pull it out and put another one in. Went up in 1 second round after no warm-up, came back and pulled that one out for third round, had some other kind of issue and had to put another head on there, ended up pulling me to the starting line, bolted in the car and won that round, so the final went good. But I think we were, 6 motors or so and 1 head for 4 rounds.
Oh, man. Well, it's a good thing you won that race to help pay the repair bills.
Yeah, I can see the calculator in Herbert's mind just going off right now. I think he blew something in there.
Well, I think Billy's a little bit like me when I used to race. It didn't matter. We wanted to go up there and win, and that was what's the most important thing. And whatever you had to do, that was what you had to do. Isn't that how you do it?
Yep. That was certainly the deal. The church sermon in that morning was about overcoming or not giving up, and it was certainly fitting that day.
And I know Steve felt bad that he wasn't able to join you in the final. He got beat by Antron there in the semifinals. Is he still kind of kicking himself?
Well, he just lost a tough race. They went up there, and Antron, they threw down a Hail Mary right there and got around him, and Antron's always good at the gate. But, it was I told Antron, they asked me about did I race my son. I said, well, I got 2 sons. One of them's chocolate, one of them's cream. I just got on that chocolate one, and I'll get on that cream one next.
Well, you got him. Yeah, you got him this weekend, that's for sure. Billy Torrence, congratulations. Great job winning that race, and just great job with your team, bringing that team up to be so good. Steve and you have done such an awesome job bringing together the people and the things to have the success that you have. So congratulations. Everybody just thinks that is awesome.
Okay, well, I certainly appreciate you guys having me on, and thank you, and hopefully we can keep the momentum up all the way to Pomona.
Driver of the Capco Contractors Top Fuel Dragster, that is Billy Torrence, winner of the Top Fuel category at Brainerd, joining us here on the Straight Line. And when we return, we will talk to the funny car winner at Brainerd, and we'll also talk a little Indy testing with fast Jack Beckman.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and pick up 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for $19.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and save money with 5 quarts of O'Reilly Full Synthetic Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for $19.99. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The race weekend doesn't have to end with the checkered flag. Carry the action over into Monday with MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Log on to MRN.com and join veteran broadcaster Woody Kane and NASCAR spotter Joey Meyer as they review the race weekend and debate the biggest stories of the week ahead. Plus, some of the biggest names in the sport stop by to talk the latest topics. Make Monday your new favorite weekday with MRN Motorsports Monday at noon Eastern or anytime on demand at MRN.com. You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you being here on MRN.com and The Straight Line this week. Hey, next week here on the Motor Racing Network, from NASCAR right down to here on MRN.com and The Straight Line and everywhere in between, it is STP Race Week. And if you're looking for more power under the hood, start at the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. STP inside every great machine. And as promised, let's take a look now at the rest of the pro standings as we head into Indianapolis. With Pro Stock car is pretty much set. I think everybody from 1 to 9 is already locked in. The only one that is not right now is Bo Butner. And I don't
have to
think
not show up at Indy, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so. I think he'd have to lose his way to the track or something. But everybody is pretty much set there. There could be some swapping between, say, 7th and 10th place, which could be a little bit interesting. And
Tanner Gray's not far out of the lead too. So depending on what he does at Indy,
correct,
he could even go number 1 seed into the countdown.
And that is a big deal because obviously there's a little more points that you get heading into the playoffs as the regular season, quote, regular season points leader.
Yep.
So that's Pro Stock. Now we'll check into Pro Stock motorcycles where now it really gets interesting. If you see from about 8th down to 16th place, I think just about everything is within.
Well, in Indy points, they're basically only 3 rounds apart from 8th till 16th place.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a tough deal with Steve Johnson a couple of spots out of the top 10. Angel just barely into the top 10. Angie Smith just barely into the top 10. Even Hector Arana, which they're running pretty darn good. So that's going to be a tough thing to be in that top 10 countdown going into the after Indy. So looking forward to see that. It's going to be a really major deal going into Indy, because even those small qualifying points, I wouldn't be surprised if 9th and 10th is only. It's going to be less than a round apart for that spot. So qualifying points are going to be very important. That's probably going to determine who gets into that top 10 spot in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Yeah, and normally I think the Harley guys and Hector Arana and maybe Matt Smith, those are the guys that are usually taking up some of those qualifying points. But if somebody from that, say, 8th spot on back, can get a qualifying point, get a couple of qualifying points, that may make the difference between them making the playoffs and not. It really will. Yeah, I think that the way the countdown goes, and especially with Indy being 1.5 points, it's going to make a difference. So we'll see what happens over there. But it's going to be definitely a show. Yeah. Top Fuel and for sure Pro Stock Motorcycle and probably Funny Car too. There's going to be some serious things happening in Indy. So keep your eyes out here next weekend for the race coming in Indy.
And not only is it the most important race of the year, just from the standpoint of it's the most historic and everybody wants to win the U.S. Nationals, but now it is the race going into the playoffs, and now it takes on even more significance than just being the U.S. Nationals. When we return, we'll wrap up another great edition of the show.
your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, head to O'Reilly Auto Parts and take advantage of the Do It Right rebate. Stop by and purchase a set of Brake Best Select brake pads and 2 Brake Best Select rotors, and you'll receive a $25 O'Reilly gift card by mail. Plus, enjoy quiet, safe, worry-free braking. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm former crew chief and STP auto expert Steve Letarte. Does your engine feel like it's down on power? It could be caused by deposits on fuel injectors, engine valves, and combustion chambers. An easy way to help clean up your fuel system and restore lost power is through the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. One bottle contains 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus the leading premium gasoline to help keep your engine running strong. STP, inside every great machine.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents and 35 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
Things happen fast in racing, and if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at NASCAR and other Premier Series events. And the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. NASCAR fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
You're staged and ready for another run on the straight line. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's Doug and Marty.
Appreciate you being here on MRN.com and joining us on the Racing Electronics Hotline right now, straight from Indianapolis, and testing going on out there is the driver of the Infinite Hero Dodge Funny Car for Don Schumacher Racing in Winter at Brainerd this weekend. Fast Jack Beckman joins us. Jack, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time. I know you're really busy out there doing the test, so we'll make it brief, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's kind of busy. We're
you think?
testing out here. Yeah, we're trying our new Charger body on the car, which always looks cool when they're just carbon fiber, no paint, no decals. Plan would be that we're going to run the thing next week at the Big Go. Hagan already has had his on since Denver, and the rest of the DSR cars, as we get bodies in the shop and mounted up, we'll outfit all 4 funny cars with them. But so far, so good with the testing.
Well, Jack, going into the final over there at Brainerd, you pulled up there and you were ready with a 27 light in the final, man. All the old Super Comp days came out when you did what you had to do.
Yeah, you know what? One part of me wants to say, why thank you, Doug, and take a bow. But let's be realistic about this. Nobody has a 27 light in funny car unless you roll way deep on the starting line, and I rolled way deep on the starting line. But, you know, I feel like I race smart. I try my best to protect lane choice every single round just in case it makes a difference. And in the final round, there's no lane choice for a subsequent round, so it doesn't make a difference. So I don't mind rolling the car in a little bit. But trust me, I didn't turn into Superman in the final round. I just had my car parked closer to the finish line. And the only downside of that, I mean, we got the win. I'm not complaining. But had I staged thin, pretty darn confident the Infinite Hero car would have been low ET of the meet.
Well, you know what, though? You got the win light. The win light came on, and I think that's what's the most important, at least to me. And I'm guessing your crew guys weren't very upset about not running.
No, there was no long faces about that. And when we were taking pictures with the trophy, nobody said, "Why'd you roll it in?" No, we just win, and that was cool. And hey, Doug, we got the win from the number 14 position.
Wow.
Yeah, and it seems like. We were talking to Caps about this last week, that qualifying nowadays really seems, for the exception of, yes, getting into the show, but then once you're into the show, it really doesn't make the difference as much nowadays. Track prep is really good. Obviously, you're not getting choice in that first round, but you guys have proven, and Caps has proven, that lane choice, and especially getting it first round, doesn't mean that much.
You know what? You must have been speaking with a lot of guys that qualified in the bottom half. Because if you don't have lane choice doesn't matter. Look at the first round at Brainerd. 3 cars, I believe, in all 16 nitro races won out of the right-hand lane. You do not want to not have lane choice. Sometimes you can't help it. I mean, there were 10 funny cars in qualifying grouped within 0.03 of a second. Yeah. It was outrageous. But I think lane choice does matter unless you have a crystal ball and you know that it doesn't matter. Now, from second round on, I don't think it made any difference. In fact, we never had lane choice all day Sunday. First round, I think it made a difference, and that might have been the first pair of dragsters, huge oil down in the right-hand lane, and that might have taken a little while to get that lane back to the condition as the left-hand lane. But, you're right. In general, as long as you're in it, you can win it. But I wouldn't want to be qualified in the bottom three positions because that almost always means you're racing a killer car first round. There's always exceptions. I remember there was a case one year John Force qualified 16th, but by race day he had a fantastic car. But all you're saying when you're 16th is I don't have lane choice and I'm racing the number one car first round. And if you give me the choice, I'd rather not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather race them a little bit later than first round anyways, right?
Yeah.
Right. No, I'd like to give them a chance to break before we
Yeah.
Hey Jack, with going up there, your second win of the season, you're coming up on the stride at the right time, going to Indy, and then going into the countdown. What's your feelings about your timing for the getting a little bit hot right now?
Yeah, trust me, it's not intentional. We didn't say, you know what, we'd love to be mediocre for 10 races and lull everybody into a false sense of security, and then we're going to come out and hammer it. What happened was we won Gainesville, and going back to late last year, I thought we had top three car everywhere we went. We qualified well, we ran consistent, we were good on race day. And we thought we wore out our clutch pressure plate, so we went to our spare one, and we made our new one our backup one, and the one that came out of the car is our third rotation one now. Then we thought, okay, we've probably worn out the front half of the car. We put 150 runs on it. We typically front half them after 120. Let's go ahead and bring our new car out so we've got a good chance to get it dialed in before we get into the countdown races. And then NHRA backed down on the percentage of glue that they spray on the racetrack. So we had three different directions that we kind of got a little bit lost on. New clutch, new race car, new track conditions. And we had kind of seen both extremes. One of our combinations would go down the track, but it would drop cylinders more often than not. The other one would keep the cylinders lit, but it was temperamental and smoke the tires. Where I applaud John Medlin and Dean Antonelli and Neil Strasbaugh is over the last 6 races, I've seen them get better and better and better and get our tune-up closer to the sweet spot, so such that even if we make a run that's not what we thought the car was going to run, it's still a competitive number on the scoreboard. And that's when you know you have a competitive car. When it doesn't run its best, it still runs pretty damn good compared to the rest of the cars. So if you were going to tell me you guys are going to have a 6-race slump, I sure as heck wouldn't want to take it after Indy. I'd take it when we did.
Yeah, no question about that. Real quick, and we'll get you out on this, Jack. Yesterday in testing, ran 398, 312 with the new body. How did you like it, and how was your run?
That was out of the box, brand new body, first time on our chassis, and frankly, I was impressed. The crew chief said take it to the finish line. Typically, all first runs are a half-track run. You want to make sure tire growth doesn't rub anything, that the headers aren't vibrating on the chassis, but it goes to show the depth of preparation that our Infinite Hero Dodge guys took on this thing, that they made sure everything fit. They crawled under the car. They pushed the body down to ride height. They took a flashlight under there. They took measurements. They set the saddles to keep the body ride height perfect there, and they let me take it to the finish line. It was 398, 312, next run 399, 315 on a hot racetrack, and better and better and better. So what that helps us do, now we can cross the body off our list, and then we say, okay, that's no longer an unknown commodity. The new Charger is a better car than the last generation Charger. The one that we have raced up till now is a fine piece. The new one is narrower. It's more aerodynamic. It's going to be the next step up for all of the DSR cars. But it doesn't mean it's a direct bolt-on and go. It's going to change the clutch application. It's going to change the drag on the car in the center of the racetrack. It's going to change the approach to the tune-up on the thing, and you need data to do that. So I'm glad we're able to do that in testing, and that way when we unload at Indy, now that body's on the car and we feel confident. Then we were able to test some header designs. We can test our backup superchargers today. We can test our spare pressure plate. That way, if you hurt something in race conditions, you can put your spare stuff on, and it's already been quantified. There's no surprises.
Yeah, and that's a good place to be. Jack, congratulations. Good luck at testing. We know you're busy. We appreciate you calling in to us. Thanks for calling in, and thanks for coming out and visit us at the brakes classes. You always make time to do that, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your help and support and friendship over so many years.
you know, Doug, I'm involved with a race team with Infinite Hero that we get to change lives. And I'm involved with you in the Breaks program where you get to save lives. That's a pretty humbling deal, and I'm always happy to be a part of it. And thank you guys for letting me share some time with you and your fans.
Thank you, buddy.
Fast Jack Beckman, driver of the Infinite Hero Dodge, a brand new Dodge, as a matter of fact, for Don Schumacher Racing. And calling in here on the straight line, while he's out there doing some testing, ran in 2 runs yesterday, 398, 399, 312, 315.
Yeah, and he said on a hot racetrack, so that's pretty good, probably preparation going into Indy. The only thing is that first run in Indy is a night run on Friday night. Because remember, Indy is eliminations on Monday, so they race Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then eliminations Monday, qualifying. So extra qualifying runs, a little bit more of a detailed, but a lot of times those test runs that you make at Indy don't necessarily help you a lot for at least that first qualifying run because it's at night, so the conditions are different. I think either tonight or tomorrow night they will let them do a night run during the Indy test. So a lot of guys will throw something good down for that.
Right, and so. That's a really good time for our segment here, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts, that we like to call red light and green light. And let's talk a little bit more about testing, because the green light is on for testing at Indianapolis, which is kind of an anomaly. Normally, you can't test before you go to a race, but for the U.S. Nationals, it's a little bit different.
Well, the NHRA rule is you can't test 1 week prior to the race. And that was known as the Joe Amato rule, because Joe Amato did a match race at Englishtown one time on like a Tuesday night, and then the race was that weekend, and he won the race and set Louis T. And everybody jumped up and down and said, "Oh, Amato had an unfair advantage because he just raced here on Thursday or Tuesday night or whatever." So NHRA passed a rule: no testing 1 week prior to elimination, or to starting day. So you got to be a week on Friday. So Friday this week they won't be running. So. Thursday is the last day for testing over in Indy. And
usually a big deal. It's not just the pro cars that are there, but we're talking if anybody that's going to be at Indianapolis for the U.S. Nationals is there. So we're talking Top Alcohol, dragsters, funny cars, pro mods, Nitro Harleys, anybody and everybody's at this test, right?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people out there testing, I'm sure, over these past few days. The thing is, they charge you a fee. So when you run your car, you're going to pay a fee, and $300 or whatever is not, or maybe it's $500, whatever, something like that is not that much for a Don Schumacher racing car or Coletta car. But when you're a sportsman, alcohol dragster, or funny car, paying $300 or $500 probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So they might have a couple of those guys that need to go out there and get some things sorted out. But in general, they're probably not going to have a lot of them. And I hate to be discouraging, but the Top Fuel and funny car guys want to get all the runs they can, and not be sitting there in the staging lanes, and a sportsman guy getting a license goes out there and takes all the cones out or something, and then they're down for 2 hours testing. So they don't really discourage it, but they got to pay the same fee as the other guys. So, that's it.
Yeah, and a big thanks to all of our friends at Racing Electronics. All of our guests are brought to you by Racing Electronics, and for 30 years, Racing Electronics has been the #1 choice for racing scanners, headphones, and the popular Fan Vision handheld unit. Check out all of our great new products at racingelectronics.com. Huge thanks to Jack Beckman for joining us here from Indy, and calling us as well as Billy Torrence for being here on the straight line.
And one thing we didn't talk about this week is Derek Kramer winning in the Pro Stock division again, and Eddie Quayrick winning an all Harley-Davidson final, a Screaming Eagle final. So that was pretty cool. Congratulations to those two guys as well for winning it.
And so join us next week as we will get you ready for the U.S. Nationals here on the straight line.